What's going on, y'all? We back at it again with another episode of Standing on It podcast. I know y'all recognize a lot of the familiar faces on here again on the show. We got Stephanie here in the building. Shout out. We got Legend. And we got Paul, man, in the lab, man. So he back at it again. So check this out, y'all. I want to dive in on a subject, man, and I see a lot of women are starting to come very independent, man, getting their own things, and they working, having careers, they buying their houses, they credit A1, and they having it their way right now. So I kind of wanted to get y'all opinion on if y'all feel that kind of role reversals is ruining modern relationships today. You think the men are becoming more feminine, and do you think women are now starting to become more masculine in the relationships? So I'm gonna go ahead, since we only got one lady here on the panel tonight. We're gonna go ahead and start with Stephanie. We're gonna get her opinion on it real quick, man. See what she think.
Thank you. Hi guys. Okay, so I think it's more deeper than that. I think that the whole independent movement is more of a fight or flight symptom. I think when women don't feel safe or they feel like they have constantly had to endure trauma, they revert to that, I guess, independent masculine energy type as a means of protection for their self. You have to have polarity. So polarity, it's like you can't have light without dark and dark without light, right? Same thing with the energy. You have to have the masculine and the feminine. And it's, I feel like a lot of the women are just, their experience has put them in a position where they have to be like that. So that's my initial thoughts on it.
Mm. What
Okay.
you think, Paul?
OG, you there?
Paul, your mic on.
Hey, turn your mic on, fam.
There you
Can you hear
go.
me now?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, we hear you, fam.
Yeah. Well, I think, a lot of women, they get to the point where they making good money and they just, think they can just have a man to do whatever they want and they want to call the shots and, oh, you just stay here and you do it. No, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. You're going to do it my way and all this, you know. So I ain't cool with that. Sitting at home letting a woman take care of you, it depends. And now she a millionaire and she doing the same thing, yeah. But in the average right now, it's a lot of women that's paying all the bills, dudes just sitting around, and they playing the role that they appreciative and all that, but they really is there for a different motive, because they don't want to get out and have their own. She might have more than you, but you need to have your own before you can be in a relationship. Because if you ain't working and she working and you out doing everything, what are you doing in life? You just skating. You know what I mean? And playing the role and switching the roles, you playing a housewife to a certain degree. You getting what you want, but it's not, to me, it's not satisfaction of being a man, you know, doing what a man's supposed to do, because you got to take care of you first. You always have to have something to fall back on, and that's your significant other, you know, because you're doing what you're supposed to do. You working and all this and all that. But if you just sitting around, you out doing what you want to do, you have no morals. You don't have no. You don't. What's your plan? Are you gonna retire off of what you're doing? If it's that good, I don't see you taking the money and the little proceeds that you get from being, to me, weak. Because real men ain't just finna do that and not show up. Okay, I'm gonna take some of these proceeds. I'm finna go buy me, open me a business, open up me a restaurant, a cafe, uh, 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 clothing store, or something. You know what I'm saying? Something that you love doing. Take that those proceeds and do it. Okay, a lot of men don't do that. So that's playing to me a woman's role, because that's what a wife would do. You know what I mean? That's just my opinion. So I think right now, men and women need to continue to be independent. And when they get independent, find somebody that you're compatible to, that want the same qualities. Because it's best sometimes to be by yourself than be with somebody. Because now you're dealing with all these distractions and taking you out of your square on your journey. And they supposed to be there to help you. But they come up with all these little childish roles, calling you. You don't answer. I'm at work. I'm trying to get some paper. Now you want to get in your feelings. It's crazy, But that just goes back to playing that role. You know what I'm saying? Because some men, you have to play that role. If you got a relationship, friendship, that y'all constantly talk, and then when you drift off from that, she think you got an attitude. No, I need some peace. I need some quiet time, But it goes to that role. You have to play that role, and hopefully you find somebody that can play that same role with you, and that want the same things out of life. I mean, it's good to find.
Yeah, we got another additional to the show, man. We got Reflection here. He just joined us, man. What's going on, boy?
Hey, what's going on, Ben? Hi, everybody. How y'all doing?
Hi.
What's good, fam?
Thanks for the invite. I wanted to answer the call because Ben's kept inviting me, and every time it seemed like it was always an excuse. So I'm at the charge station. That's why my visual is bad.
That's all right, man. You on here now?
But I think part of that feminine ality that comes from the male is because the male leadership has been hijacked by the government. And if you say how, food stamps, we've been replaced with supporting a woman. The government support that with food stamps. So that means the need for us amongst the woman in the home has been replaced with the support from the government. So now she doesn't really need us. So now she's stuck with raising the son. Now she's stuck with raising the daughter. And let's say if you remove that angle of it, is she following the leadership of the man in that house? So that way the kids can follow that. Okay, mom is behind the dad. So now we know we have to answer to the father of all. So is he getting support from his wife or from his spouse in the home? If he isn't, then he's outed. So the son is immediately attaching himself to the mother. So that's where that emotion comes from. So then when he get out here and get in his own relationship, he's attached those emotions that he went through in his home to his relationship. And now he doesn't have leadership amongst his own relationship. So it's a ripple effect. So you have to make sure the home is in great leadership.
What you're saying is, so you pointed it out from like a single mother point of view.
Yes.
A single mom raising a kid, and the son growing up being attached to the mom, and he growing up seeing the mom pay the bills, going to work every day. So he grows up.
So she's deemed as a strong foundation.
So then once he become a man and gets in a relationship with a woman, he's so used to seeing how his mom was.
Yes.
He might think that's the way it's supposed to be. The woman is in control of the house, going to work, paying the bills. Because
and not saying she's not strong, and not saying she's not strong because she's not handling her business, but that's not how the way the home was aligned. The home was aligned where the man is the establishment and he's the leader and he's the foundation. And it has to be like that. If you remove the way that's supposed to be established and set up, then it's going to be a ripple effect to that. And it's going to be a failure in the home from that.
Okay.
It takes two parents, male and female, to raise a child, especially a son, because he's the next leader. And when the father is gone, he's supposed to replace that and take place and start leading the family, leading his own family. But if he's not getting that structure from the home, it's not happening.
This is a first for the show, man. Boy, I ain't never had nobody just log in and already say I got an answer right now and just gave their opinion right away. Boy, you did that.
Yeah, I
asked you the question.
I gotta give you your props, Vince, because you deal with the topics that we're dealing with right now. Like you're dealing with what's going on in the homes right now. You're not sugarcoating and tiptoeing around it, and that's what attracts me to the podcast.
Mm-hmm. Well,
and you got a good panel. Man. You got a good panel.
Yep. Let's bring it on over to Larry, man. And and see what his opinion is.
Shit, I mean, like, as far as like role reversal go, like, what exactly we talking about? You know what I'm saying? Like, because we talking about, man, like I'm listening to Paul, and Paul was focused on one thing, but are we focused on like role reversal? Because sometimes like it's weird as fuck. First of all, it's weird as hell seeing myself like in the camera.
Hey man, we gotta put that
crazy.
light on you, man. They
Hey,
gotta know
but
where the
look,
message coming from.
as far as like the role reversal joint, man, it's like there's a lot of different things that attribute to role reversal, because sometimes as a woman you might be forced into, you know what I'm saying, like forced into that role. And I know single dudes. I got homies that raise their kids by themselves. You know what I'm saying? So as far as like role reversals go, like what exactly are we talking about? There's a lot of different ways that we can answer that. So in all actuality, bro, I can't answer that shit like in only one type of way. But as far as like what Paul's talking about, bro, it's like, well, I'm not even going to address what Paul's talking about. I'll speak for myself, like as far as like what my definition of role reversal is. Like when you posted this shit on your Facebook earlier, I'm thinking like, because you said like dudes is being feminine and females is being masculine. So that's what I'm thinking that we talking about. So that's what, you know what I'm saying? So that's what it is. But I mean, is that what we talking about? Before I even answer the question, like I said, because there's more than one way you could really answer the question. Like what exactly
we talking of all aspects. I think Paul spoke on the aspect of if a man didn't have a job and the woman was holding it down the household, and then we have reflection. He spoke on a part of a single mother raising kids. So he then spoke from the kids' point of view.
And she has no dependency for the man because she's getting support from the government. So now she's able to attach herself to that help and support. So that lessens the value of the man that she needs. So like, shit, I got food stamps, so I'll get this, I got that, so I can put it in the hand of myself. So what do I need you for?
Man, fuck them food stamps, bro.
I got a question
when we
though.
Talking about like this. Go ahead, Ma.
So for all of you guys, and this includes me, if I let you stay home and I covered everything, would you pass up the offer? Like,
That's
honestly,
crazy.
As a man, I would pass it up. I've done it before.
Yo, look,
because
what's crazy to me?
I just think that
is like it's not
different
really
per
a
household.
role. It's not really
what I
a
mean?
role.
Yeah.
It's
Because
not really a role
you gotta
because there's
understand
a
the
lot
way
of
the sides work. You know what I mean? Like the masculine energy operates off the left hemisphere of the brain. The feminine operates off the right side, right? So the masculine is the doer. Like they think logically. You know what I mean? And the feminine energy is like we are emotional. We use our intuition. We don't think with logic like males do. So I think it literally would be so different depending on the household. Women we don't want to be in our masculine energy. Some of us didn't have a choice, and it was either here, you're gonna figure it out or you're gonna sink. You know what I mean? So when women feel safe and secure, then they are able to be in their feminine energy. And trust me, we don't want to be in the masculine energy. And I think it's the same for guys. It's just there's so many different reasons why that could be. You know, some people that's their dynamic and it works. You know what I mean? It's whatever makes your home fulfilling and whatever makes your home a home. What makes my home a home is not going to be aligned with all of your guys's, and it's going to be different. You know what I mean? Depending on the house. And you know, before I was throwing it out there, like, you know, because a lot of people don't want to work. I think regardless whether you're male or female, we should want a more higher quality of life, right? At the same time, it's like whatever works for us and is meaningful and makes us happy is what matters in the long run. You know what I mean?
Right. I agree
But
with you.
the failure in the home that no longer has a structure is what's creating the problem.
I look at it like this.
Separation and divorce is what creating the problem. So now you're left with a dividing household. So the kids are with the mom this week, and then they're with the dad this week or the weekend or whatever like that. And then when you add all of those in there, then you're gonna have weakness amongst the son. Then the son is not really connecting and bonding with the leadership of the father. So that's also where that femininity is coming from. So he don't know how to lead.
Got you. Got
Let
you.
me ask you this question, though, fam. As far as what you're saying, because it's like if a man is leading the household, and the woman and the wife, girlfriend, whatever it is, baby moms, whatever the fuck she might be, if she's playing, and I'll put this shit in quote, roles, if she playing her role, does that make her less of a leader because she's not in the front? You know what I'm saying? Like she's not playing that leadership role, like because she's not
Well,
working or
it's the
whatever.
same thing. It's the
So,
same thing. Being drafted,
so
going into the
listen.
military.
But listen to the whole question, fam, because it could go both ways. Because I know single moms, and like I said earlier, I know single dads. I know single dads, bro, that's raising nothing but girls. And the dudes that I'm talking about are strong dudes, bro. Like they solid dudes. And I know that we had this conversation 1,000 times. Like women can't raise a man, or we just seen the videos with whatever the fuck the other podcast nigga is, whatever. Like we've heard the stories and we've had these conversations, or we've watched the videos and we've agreed or disagreed. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's Kevin Samuels, whoever the fuck it is. But we and again, we can agree to disagree. But me personally, I know single moms that raise men, that raise boys. I'm sorry, not raise men. My bad. That raise boys that's doing a good job. And I personally know dudes that's raising nothing but girls, bro, with no females in sight. And they solid with it. And that's real shit, bro. So
Right,
when
but
we
what
talk
does it
about
look like for?
generals, what exactly are we talking about? General reversal. Like what exactly are we talking about? That's my question.
Can I interject? So here's
Right.
what I think. I think balance is a must-have for both sides. You have to have, the masculine, right? So you can teach, boys to be men. They're doers. They think logically, and you have to have also the feminine side because we bring the nurturing side to it. So that's why it's off balance when you're missing one of the two parts. Because let's say, for example, like my dad raised all of us, and there's 4 girls, right? So,
Mhm.
and that's why for us, we're the way we are. Like we rely on ourselves. We minimize our ability to be emotional. And sometimes we need that. You know what I mean? So that's how we have to process our emotions. So it's all about balance. You have to have both counterparts. If you have a male that raises like my dad raised us, but we have a lot of masculine traits about us because my dad raised us, right? And there's certain things that could come up to where it's like we don't even know how to be feminine when we should be because we were raised by my dad. And you have to have that, you know what I mean? And it's the same way if you go the opposite direction. If you have a mom that raises boys, it's gonna be, of course they could both do it, but they're still going to be lacking on one regardless. If one counterpart is missing, there's a lack there. And that's why we have this epidemic of everybody's off balance because you have to understand, like, you have to have both of those to have balance. You can't just have, that's why in relationships it's like, okay, you're too harsh. Women are like, oh, you're insensitive. That's not the case. And that's why us having a thorough understanding of our roles and how important balance and having the counterparts, it matters. You know what I mean? It really matters.
I'm
If you
not
have
saying
a mom.
I'm not saying a woman can't lead. We've seen many
Mhm.
examples of that, but
Yeah,
that's not the way it was established. That's not the way I was raised. For my mom to lead my dad, I
I
was
agree with
raised
that.
by both parents, and
Yes,
that was a proper balance. And then to
correct.
go back to what the homie says, because he keep refusing to accept the word role. That is a role. You play your role. It's like playing chess. Protect the king. The dad is the king of the house. He's the king of the home. So the mother or the wife has to succumb and get under that wing in a respectful way to make sure the kids see the leadership. If the leadership is
Yeah,
broken, then everything else is going to fall apart. So it is
yeah,
playing the role. To
yes,
win any war, you always have to follow leadership. And the
yes,
father and the male is the leader of the house. The
I agree
son,
with you,
the
son.
oldest son, comes into the second leadership. What does
mhm,
it look like for a younger kid leading the older kid?
yeah.
A younger
No,
brother
and
leading the
I
older
get what you're
brother? It's
saying.
So,
mixed up. It makes no sense.
hey, I
So
done
there is
seen
a
shit like
ripple
that.
effect when you leave.
I
So
agree
no,
I
I
with
don't
what
get
you're
it. The
saying.
understand.
guy should
One moment,
lead,
one moment, one moment.
but I think it's a
One moment.
matter of the the guy and the girl. It's not the son and the dad and then the son. It's the wife and the husband. They lead and everybody
That is
follows suit.
correct. That is correct. So they need to make sure that any failure that they have amongst each other, they deal with it like you do at an employer
Yes,
office. You
behind
don't
closed
discuss
doors.
your problems on the sales floor, because now
Correct.
you're destroying your leadership, because other sales floor associates that's not at that level is
Yep.
watching and you don't know how to
Correct.
dissect that. So you go back
Yes.
in the office and you say, hey, don't contest my leadership. If I say
Yes.
such and such needs to be done, I need you to support that. If you have an issue with that, then we deal with it. So you have to
Mhm.
attack the home, because that's where the problems have started. People
Yeah.
think it's not rocket science. We don't need this great master plan to
Yeah.
fix these relationships. Relationships are
Mhm.
so disgusting right now. People don't want to pull out and pick what the problem really is.
Mhm.
It's the home. It's dinner time. It's what mom and dad is doing.
Mhm.
It's parents hanging out like they're high school kids while their kids is at the soccer
Mhm.
game, while their
Yeah.
kids is at ballet or dance. By the time they see their teachers see
Hell
your
yeah.
kids more than you do. So
Yeah.
Ooh,
I
talk
how are you
on
agree
it.
with
going to
that.
establish
And I
trends?
think all of that, is intentional. I think the school is put in place to condition us, right?
So it
And I
goes back
think
to
the
what I said
government,
earlier.
obviously, because they benefit off of us when they have,
Exactly.
a
And
missing party in the house.
so it goes back to what I said earlier. I only brought up food stamps. I was using that as an I was paraphrasing that. Anything that the
No,
woman
but
has
that's a good
got help
example.
from, any need that the woman has got help other than the man, demobilizes the man's strength and power as a leader. So now
Mm.
she's addicted to getting help elsewhere but him. Back then, my mom always came home depending on my father to fix it and work it out. Hey, the lights, we don't have money for this bill.
Mhm.
The light bill need to be paid. The gas bill need to be paid. How are we going to work this out? How are we going to establish it? And he worked it out. He established it. Now she's going a different direction. She's going towards prostitution to pay her bills. See, y'all don't want
Mm.
to talk about the real problems.
Mm.
No, and
Mm.
The
I
only
agree with
fans
that.
to pay her bills. Why are most women going towards the streets? And I'm not making any particular, but why is prostitution at all-time high? And then most of the women, you say, well, I got to put my child through college, or I got to get through college, or I got to pay my rent or my light bill. Only
Mhm.
fans. Why are you resorting to these situations that are degrading, which is going to demobilize you to find a good
Mhm.
guy and establish your own relationship? So why are you
Yeah.
looking towards other means to generate funds instead of
Yeah.
looking towards that partner you're with to generate funds? And if you got
Yeah.
to support and help him out until he get back on that level to where he can do it by himself. But
Mhm.
how is he going to be able to do it by himself if he's working longer hours to try to be this income guy that brings in the income? And now the woman is at the house with the kid by herself most of the time because he's trying to reach his high level and high caliber finances just to establish himself as someone who can take care of her and the family. So
Yeah,
it's
and
just
I
going to
think
take
that's
a
on both sides too. It's for the male and like for me, I work two jobs. I'm not a hooker, none of that crazy shit.
no.
But I work
I
two
was just
jobs,
throwing
and I
that out
feel
there.
like I don't get to see my kids as often as I would like to, and that takes away from them because it's like you said, the teachers see them more than we see them. You know what I mean? And it's
With me,
ridiculous.
I made sure that I was established and my foundation was good financially for the
Mhm.
most part before I even started dating.
Yeah,
Because I knew if I was a failure to the girl I was dating, then I lost my leadership role, and I succumbed to that. So
yeah.
that's also a part of feminine way. So it's not just the way the man walks or the way men's deal with issues or problems. When you look at that situation, I won't go too deep with that, and I'm gonna kind of chime out. But when you look at that situation, how a lot of these guys are killing over their baby mom, that's emotional for a man. For me, I would never kill another dude messing with the mother of my kids. The only time I would have a major issue emotionally if that's my wife. A lot of these niggas out here killing over shorties that ain't even theirs.
Mhm.
That's
Mhm.
feminine to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's
Well,
why I
because
asked, like,
I think
when
because
you say
people love,
general,
you
what
have to
exactly
love
are we
with the
talking
attachment.
about?
So people are attached to like it's an
yeah,
ego
but
thing.
why would
I
you
think it's
allow
an ego
yourself?
thing.
Why would you succumb to that emotional level as a man to
I
be
don't
that
know, but
much
I agree.
attached?
I mean, I know it's a problem. I agree with what you're saying, and I think
You should be able to take that to take that and handle it, grit it, and move on. That's gonna always be. But if
so.
now if that's your wife, that's different. I don't play with that. But
So
if
what do
that's
you
your
think
girl,
that
your
the
baby
lack of
mom, and you find out
motivation is from?
what was that
Like the lack of motivation, lack of self
from what the
control, lack of all of this stuff is crazy.
Oh yes, yes, most definitely. But there's a war against separation now. That's why people are disgusted to date now. Even the date. I grew up in the dating era, so dating to me was you finding out about that partner. People don't do that no more. That was you filtering out the do's and don'ts of what you like and don't like. Maybe your partner smokes, but you haven't found that out because she never smokes or he never smokes around you when you go out on a date. They
Mhm.
only smoke when they're in the privacy of their own home and everything. And now you finding out what 3, 4 months later that they smoke and you don't like
Mhm.
smoke mouth. So now you're like, I don't like that. So a lot of these are strategies, like it's like playing chess. You can strategize your situation, but I go back to the feminine way. How is a son being raised in the home, and who do he look at as leadership in the home? What is he attracted to as leadership? You know,
Yeah.
is he head of his class? Is he the dean of the class? What is he doing on his downtime to
Yeah.
establish himself as a man? What makes a man a man? You have to ask your son these questions. What do you think makes you a man? It's how you deal with things and what the
Yeah.
level that you deal with them. What's the emotional level? What's your emotional tolerance? What's your
Yeah.
emotional tolerance? You can deal with it. Stop always quitting and wanting to quit the game every time you lose. Every
Yeah.
time you lose a game, you want to quit. To me, that's feminine.
Yeah. It
You
is.
stay in there until the game is over. Win or lose, you don't tap out until the
Yeah.
coach says the game's over. So who's the coach of the house? Who's the coach of your home? Who's the coach?
Yeah.
Who's the leader?
Yeah.
And I get
Emotional
what you're saying
strength.
on that.
Emotional strength.
I see what you're saying on that on emotional stuff. That's like you said, you working at a job, you mad one day. So now first thing you resort to is you want to quit. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
the first thing.
You losing today, you want to quit the game. Give my ball. I'm
Yeah,
going home.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
And
And
then you at that job complaining every day you come in. What do you think? What do you think that's doing to the morale of those who wants to figure it out and stay on that job?
Jacking it up. Hella bad.
Yes. So now the man is acting like a bitch because he's coming to work talking and complaining every day. Every day. That's what females do. I'm not saying a man can't complain on some levels, but you coming around people that's still trying to focus on their job, and every day you come to that same job complaining about what you got to do every day. Well, you need to just quit.
So what do you think is causing this though? Because I feel like we have
I
a
think
responsibility to
No,
ourselves to
nobody.
make
No,
sure we're happy and not toxic, right?
I think he said earlier he was talking more about the single mother aspect of it
yeah,
when he came onto the show. And
and responsibility. Nobody wants to be responsible. Nobody wants to be responsible for their own actions. Everybody wants
Agreed.
to point the finger and blame somebody else.
So let
Yeah.
me ask y'all this.
There's no
But that's how they
maturity.
are with everything in life. It's not just their job or their
So
personal
you
life.
have
It's
to
with
go back
everything.
to the foundation. So you have to go back to the foundation. You have to go
Mhm.
back. It's like building a car. You don't start with the trunk or the hood first. You start with the bottom layer of the car first. Then you
Mhm.
attach the wheels to it, and then you build around it. Everything
Hey,
has to have a foundation first. A
hey,
child,
Yeah.
when a child is born in the hospital, the first thing they feel is that smack from the doctor. That's their first feeling. Outside of that, they don't know nothing else. Now you telling me you can't create that into what you want it to be? Hopefully it's right, but you telling me you can't create that? That's why a lot of times when kids say, "Oh, I was born like this," no, you wasn't. You was raised that way. You had to be raised that way. You wasn't born gay. You had to be raised that way. You wasn't born like that. What did you want? Maybe you feel like you're ugly, so you had to go that route. Maybe you have crinkled black Negro hair, and you don't have the white hair that you see at your school. So maybe you didn't get that love. So now you have to go on a weird eccentric route. Now you got to dress gothic. You know that's not you, and you got to go that route to try to fill that void. A lot of people have a void and they haven't filled it because they haven't addressed the demons. They haven't addressed the real issues. But it goes back to the home. We don't need a master plan to fix it. We just need dedication and honesty. Honesty and dedication to go a long way. That I don't have a lot of friends, but I'm gonna say I don't have a lot of friends, but I do have some strong friends. You know why? Because I'm always honest. In every situation,
Yeah.
I'm honest. And maybe I might be wrong at something, but I doubt it. But I'm always
Yeah.
honest. The honesty is what
Yeah.
they walk away with. It's not the win. They walk away with the honesty and say, "Well, that nigga's honest, so he's
Yeah.
honest. He said I
Yeah.
offended him, but at least he's honest." You have to be honest with whatever you're dealing with. But it starts in
Mhm.
the home. Everything goes back to the house. Because look at
Yeah.
what they're doing from the top, and it's trickling down to us out here in the common world, in the domestic world. The rules and regulations that they're making at the top is affecting us. So it's leadership. It's back to a role again. The leadership every time.
Well,
Okay.
Men
I
need
agree
more
Well, you
with what
can't
you're
blame
saying,
the
emotional strength.
though.
government. I mean, I semi agree with that, but I semi disagree because we
And
can't.
paraphrasing. A lot of times when I talk, I'm paraphrasing.
No, I gotcha. But I just feel like for me, like, so, I mean, there was a male in my house for a portion of, me raising my kids. But for the first years, it was like me by myself. You know what I mean? But I always, talk to my kids. Like, I'm very upfront with them. And like all my boys, they all work, they all do their own thing. You know what I mean? Thank God. But I think a woman can do it. I agree with what you're saying, right? You have to, it goes back to the basics of the home. But
And
how do we
did you
correct it if it's so far off? Because
were
this
you
is like
focused?
a problem.
Okay, and I'm sorry. Did you say you have sons too?
Yeah, I have sons.
How was your assessment on how they handled things emotionally? Did you ever feel
Well,
like a guy could
I
have fixed
watched
that or
how they
supported
were
that?
emotional, whether they were able to get back up. Because I don't believe there's a such thing as failure. You're only a failure if you give up, right? So I feel like every time you try something and you fail, it's like a stepping stone to get to where you're going, right? So my kids, they don't give up. They work hard. They're very independent. They do their own thing. Like one of my sons has a girlfriend. He's super just like sweet to her. He like babies her. He opens her door. And these are things, some of the things, most of the things I did show the kids. But even though I'm a woman, right, and took over a large chunk of those years, I always talk to the kids like, this is what you need to do. And I always let them do it like hands on. I think some of the people that have these issues have mommy issues because their moms want to come save them. Like, or they enable them. I think we have a percentage that's going to fall under that category. And I think there's just a wide array of things that are going to create the
Do
same
you feel
outcome.
okay? Do you feel this generation now has been men have been distracted and overly sexualized by women? So we've kind of gotten
I
away and
think that
forgot
I wouldn't
and
call them
forgot.
men. I wouldn't call them men.
You wouldn't what?
My kids, yes. But I'm going to say, and even some of their friends, yes. But there's a large chunk of their friends too that you can just see it, right away. Like
But
there's
would you
issues.
assume as a woman, men are more has turned our focus more on pleasing a woman sexually instead of trying to please her in any other established way as a man?
No,
Because we because
I
that
feel like
bar's
a
been
larger
raised so
part
high.
of men just kind of, I
Wait,
don't
let
want to
me
say
finish.
give up.
Let me finish. Let me finish
Yeah.
because if you look at how sexualized women are nowadays with their presentation, a man is going to focus on, okay, make sure I got to please her in this area. And if I please her in this area, then she's going to love me in every other area. And failing to forget. Now, what happens in the bedroom, that's the bedroom. When we walk out of this bedroom, I need you to understand how to make it happen. I need you
Yeah.
to make sure that the bills are paid. I need you to make sure that when my card broke, you get that done. I need to make sure that when we're out here in public, you're
Yeah.
established. You know what I'm saying? Do you feel like that's
Yeah.
also what makes a man succumb to feminine ways because he's focused on that area that a lot of women has established as the most important thing? Because I want to be this beauty. I want you to look at me as this. And then maybe he's forgetting about his other foundations of strength that he needs to focus on.
I don't think that's the case. I think that people are just sheep and they follow the crowd. And I think that their ego, they've allowed material things to take over in their egos, right? To gas them up to where they feel like this is the minimal. I can do the bare minimal and get by, right? I don't think it's because their intent is like, let me go sexually, please. You know what I mean? I think we have a percentage
It's
that
just
will
the
fall
focus
under that
point on
category.
relation. The focus point is what I'm saying. What is this focus point? And I'm not asking you
I
per
think
se,
people
also
are
to the
just.
panel.
I think
As
people
a
love
as a
conditionally with attachment. That's what I think is a big problem. And I think the major thing is the ego, their egos, because the kids these days they're not like how we grew up. When we were growing up, we were outside playing tag till the light came on. These kids are on their social media and like you know what I mean, just following the
right.
crowds of people and they all dress the same, act the same, even though that's not who they really are. You know what I mean? And I think that their egos, like, because these kids, like, literally think they're the hardest shit, walking the street. Mind you, these kids don't even go out like when we were
Right.
growing up. So they're not even about that life. You see what I'm saying? but they'll talk like they're about that life and they try to act like they're about that life. And I think they literally have created this false identity of themselves, right? Or their ego, whatever. And that's who
Right.
they try to project to the world, but that's not really who they are. You know what I mean? I think it's just a front. It's fake. We know it's fake because there a lot of these kids hang out with our kids, or you know what I mean. We know what's really going on, and I know where my kids are at, and my kids don't go out like that. You know what I mean? And then I even tell my kids, hey, you should probably rethink who you're hanging out with, right?
So
Because I feel like
let me ask y'all a question, and I just want to get back on another part of the question here. Like, I know we talked a lot about the kids or whatnot, but how about all right, we'll switch right now from the kids.
men and
Let's
kids,
just go to male and female. Do you guys think role reversal is happening right now? And do you believe that women are starting to become more masculine and in the roles today, and men are starting to become more feminine? Like, do you guys see women are now having these higher careers, higher paying jobs, and now taking on a role like, hey, I got this, I got that, I got it on my own, I don't need you? Or do you think men are coming more, or men are the one becoming more submissive?
Mhm.
Yo,
I don't think
let me
men are
start.
Being the
submissive.
person
I
wanting to
think
please
that
the
they
woman
just
now.
lack motivation. And I think I literally think there's a tug of war, because I'm telling you right now, for those of us women that do our own thing, we did not choose this role. I promise you. None of us want to go out there and work like we don't want to do that. We would rather
Well,
be
you
at home with our kids. You know what I
well,
mean?
you
To
do
be
have
honest.
women. Well, you do have women that are kind of selfish and they're more on worried about their career and not worried about family. That's why you do have some women 40 years old, still not married, still not having kids, because they were
Mhm.
chasing a career versus
Mhm.
chasing a family. You know what I mean? And then sometimes they hit an age where it's too late now.
Yeah.
That is correct.
I think we gotta. I mean, ideally, of course, this is not the case for everyone, but we should have been prioritizing, right? And your family is always top of the list, right? But I think that's I think one chunk of people will fall under that, and I'm telling you from a woman's from experience, when we go through something like that, it's very traumatic to us, right? And it's a fucking emotional roller coaster. It's a shit show. It really is. So once we're able to find some stability within ourselves, right? Because we go through this self-talk where it's like, okay, I feel like the world's literally going to end. I feel like I lost a loved one type of shit. We go through that phase. It's like a grief phase. And then we come to a point to where it's like, hello, you have to put your head out of your ass and get it together. Like, then we look at our kids and we're like, the kids is what gives us strength to push forward, right? So it feels hella hard. It feels shaky at first, but once you get through that part of it,
But
you don't feel like you're better than anybody. You just feel like, okay, I'm alive. Like I'm doing okay right now. You know what I mean? And then you go
okay,
on like that for a while, and then you just keep going on, and then you just advance yourself. But for me, I know this ain't the case for everybody, but ideally through the process, we should the kids are always at
okay,
the top of
okay.
the
So,
list of priorities.
but taking the kids away, because it's easy to use kids as a
Yeah.
motivation
No,
for
but you're
certain
saying
women
male and yes.
to do what they're doing. If there's no kids in the picture,
Yes, but
just say
women,
you're
what I'm
dating, or
saying is women, we don't
you
want to be masculine. We
I know,
don't.
but what I'm saying is, look, if you're just dating, or let's just say you got married, it's just you and him. That's it.
Okay.
There's no kids involved, and there's a woman in a relationship that makes more money than the man, and there are women that tend to kind of feel like like I've seen women that make more money than they men and degrade the men that they're
But it
with,
shouldn't matter. Yeah, because
all
it's a
because she makes
basket.
more
It's all
money
going
than
in the
him,
same basket.
and try to make him feel less than.
Well, there are women like that, and I feel like women that behave like that are literally piss poor because they can't measure their worth off anything else
All right,
except
let me
that
get
fucking check they get.
I'm gonna get some other point of views. Let me talk to Paul and Legend. Let me see what they is. Paul, have you ever came across where you dated a woman that made more money than you, and maybe felt the need to, like, okay, because she makes more money than you can't tell her shit. She want to come up with the rules, or maybe even try to control you, tell you what you can do and what you can't do, when you can go somewhere and when you can't go somewhere, who you can hang out with and who you can't hang out with.
Well, I'm gonna make it brief because that relationship didn't last very long. For us to experience on it. But no, I've never really had any lady to, put me in a predicament that way. I mean, I've dated women that made more money than me, but they never reversed their role as being the sweet person that they were, But far as the younger people, I really can't say or speak on that because I haven't dated anyone young like that to experience that. So that's pretty much how I feel about it,
And that's fair because, like you said, so you saying like in your generation, you probably come from where you're seeing a lot of men make, most of the times make more than a woman, and there are the gender roles of the man and gender roles of the woman. And this kind of era that we're going through now, women are given more opportunity now as far as careers and making a lot more money.
Right.
And these younger women today are a lot different than an older generation of woman. And we got
So
we
why
got
do you think why you think that is, Vince? That women are making more money than men?
I mean, they're just, you got a lot of reasons. One, I mean, let's say I'm gonna just talk about different professions. You got, let's start with the negative first. You got your strippers, you got your prostitutes, you got escorts, you got OnlyFans, you got all of that. And these women that make money, if they really truly make money at it, it's sometimes kind of hard to kind of tame that. It's hard to compete. I hate when women are in those professions and they say that they're not messing with a man unless he makes what they make, if not more. At the end of the day, no man makes that. I don't give a fuck what his job is, unless he's an athlete or a high paid actor or entertainer. You could be a doctor and still don't make that on a daily basis. I know lawyers that only make $50 an hour. You as a stripper, escort, OnlyFans person, you make more than that. So this guy went to school 8 years to become a professional at a lawyer, don't make what you make. So what are you saying about him? You right? Now if we go into the career, Fortune 500 job, things of that nature. And I'm gonna speak on, maybe the job I work at, and I see we have a lot of women at the top, directors, VPs, all of that, and it's very, very top heavy with women, and it is men that's hiring them. And if you ask me why that is, I mean it's hard. I mean, there's a lot of things I could think of. You know what I mean? And I'm not going to say it's all negative. I do feel that women are more detailed than men, in a lot of reasons. So maybe that's the reason they are given those opportunities. Right. I do feel that sometimes there are men in leadership roles that don't want to compete against other men, and they'll put a woman in that position. A woman might not listen to you at home, but she will listen to that man at work that's signing her paycheck.
Yeah, that's a good point.
May I say something?
Yeah.
It's like sometimes women aren't, like, you're not forced into that position, or men aren't forced in that position. You know what I'm saying? That's just what it is. Sometimes it be what it be. It is what it is. I've already said this before, man. Like, I've been with women who make 6 figures a year. You know how hard it is for a man or a woman, no matter what the roles is, your sex, gender, whatever the fuck it is, for you to make 6 figures a year, my nigga. So it's like, if that's what she make, then sometimes you just might have to take that step back and be like, yo, I'm not the breadwinner. And being a breadwinner doesn't mean, like, that shit could mean anything, bro. Like, that shit could mean, all right, she might be making $100K a year. I'm still making $95K a year. I'm still making $98K a year. You see what I'm saying? So it's not. I think, like, when we pay that much attention to, like, general, like, put in quotes, roles and all that shit, that's just the propaganda of this shit, bro. Because if I'm making $80K a year and I'm single and my shorty making 120K a year, you think I really give a fuck? I'm not feeling emasculated or none of that shit. If she's not treating me in a certain type of way, I'm not even tripping off of that shit, bro. You see what I'm saying? But
see, you might not feel a certain way, and that wouldn't bother you. Like, for instance, if a woman made more than me, that wouldn't bother me.
Right.
But there was a time when we did a show when we were talking about going to games. Remember that?
We were talking
and
about
if you can't get me to seat at the bottom of the arena, I don't want to go to the game. You remember that conversation? So there are women, she could make 100 and you could make 90. There are still women that still say you got to make what I make, if not more.
So that's
when even though y'all still close, still in the ballpark.
That's when we talk about gender roles and put that.
Okay, let me ask the panel a question.
What's that?
You're not focused on, and you don't give a fuck if she makes more money than you. Then what happens if she assumed you was cheating, or you guys get in an argument, and then she say, "Get the fuck out," because your name's not on the list, or she makes more money than you and she gets to keep the house? What happens? What happens when? What happens?
But what happens when that's the other way around too? Because guys,
hold on.
I don't know. We see a lot of men walking down that sidewalk with that garbage bag with the shoes. I don't see a lot of women walking down no sidewalk at night. She got kicked out. It ain't the same.
Women got a lot more options than men.
Because if you get kicked out, I please believe on the next corner there'll be a nigga talking about you. I got somewhere you can stay.
I just don't feel like it should get to that level. Like on any level, I don't care what this is. Like it should never get to this point to where it's like there's no integrity, there's no respect, at the end of the day, men are doers. You know what I mean? That's just the bottom line. So for me, if you measure your worth, or if I feel like people that are feeling some type of way about income, that's an insecurity issue on that person.
Income is being overused.
At the end of the day, I'm telling you right now, we don't think about who makes more money. We don't.
Oh yes, they do.
The only time that's ever going to come up. The only time that I'm telling you right now, the only time that's ever going to come up is, let's say, for example, we live together and I pay majority of the bills, and if you treat me like shit, and even though I'm covering all the bills, then I'm going to say something, or something's happening on the back end that's triggering her to respond like that, because women don't.
Let me tell you this, because I know you said you don't really be dating and stuff. You can ask the guy that go out there in a date market today. The first two questions you get from women today is, how tall are you and what do you do for a living? Yeah. Both those questions are sides up questions.
Yeah.
Right.
That's why they ask you that, because they want to know how much money you make. They're sizing you up.
In my defense. But I don't ask
you don't go out there in the dating market. So you kind of out the loop. But
so that's a good question.
I promise you they care.
If
he say I work at Walmart, she's not fucking with him. I promise you.
Or he's a rideshare driver.
Facts.
I promise you. That's why they ask them questions.
There's no pride. There's no pride. There's no pride. There's no pride in that, to go back to your girlfriend or your mother and say, "Oh, I met a guy." First thing they're gonna say is, "Oh, what does he do? What's his occupation?" "Oh, he's a Lyft driver." He could be the best nigga on the planet, but just because he's a Lyft driver, rideshare driver, or works at McDonald's, you're going to let that go. So it does go back to money. But at the same time, if a man fails financially, but you love each other, then he just has to try to find out a way to establish himself as a leader in other areas within that relationship. That's the only way he can win, if he establishes himself as a leader in other areas. It don't have to be finance. His leadership might not have to be finances. His leadership could be making sure he mitigates the home properly, making sure that he has controlled spending in that home so the mortgage don't get behind. Things like that. His leadership could be in other areas, So it don't have to be in finances where his leadership and his stronghold is.
I agree with you.
But it's a deep question.
I definitely agree with you, fam. But I want to say this.
I just think there needs to be balance across the board. No matter
yeah. That's what our question.
Well, we got to get back to first base, because when you meet a woman, when a guy meets a woman, the meeting is not organic. We're already accused of, when we say you're beautiful, or we give you this shivery handshake, you guys shake our hands with the tip of your fingers for what? Like, you ain't even gave us a head start yet. So we got to get rid of that meet and greet first, because it's never organic. It's never organic. It's the negativity that hits y'all first, right? When we meet y'all. And now we can't even flatter you no more because that sounds shitty. Why is
I
that?
disagree with that. I mean, I'm not
Niggas is
saying this is
corny.
not a thing. I'm not going to doubt. I believe, yes, it's probably common, but I don't agree with that. I personally don't operate like
You
that.
guys should be able to decipher between the good guys and the bad guys. And when I say good, I'm not talking about a weak guy, but I'm saying the good guys and the bad guys. You women become women before we become men. So why is that you're not smart enough to decipher between a nigga that you just met that's a bum or a nigga that you just met that's that guy?
Well, hold on. I think
Ooh-wee.
personally, again, back to
Yeah,
what we said
he
on the
on
last
it.
episode, I think because when we're
He on
younger,
it.
and I can say this because I haven't been in hella relationships. I've been in the one relationship for fucking years, right? So when I was younger, okay, if you haven't experienced nobody else and that's all you know, then that's all you know. It is what it is, right?
So is that the
So
next guy's fault?
no, of course not. But that's the thing. That's why we're supposed to heal from our trauma and learn, grow through what you go through and be better. Because I feel like everything we go through prepares us for whatever the blessing is at the end. Whatever's meant for us, all of the trials that we go through is to prepare us so we are well prepared for the end outcome, right? Because there's
Hey,
something good for
Right,
everybody
so let
if
me.
we want
right.
it, if we
Can
choose
y'all
to learn
see?
from
Can y'all
it, right?
see? Can y'all see the comment on the screen right now from Brittany?
Yeah, I'm reading that right now, son.
So
I'm reading that shit
tell
right
me,
now.
tell me y'all opinion on that. Now, I understand where she's coming from, and I get it.
I agree with her
Yeah.
But I'm
statement.
saying in real life, I don't see no woman waiting on a man to become something because he got dreams and hope and aspirations.
Yo,
Hell,
You better be the
Again,
finished
that's
He's
going
not.
product,
back to that
and you
same
better
thing.
He's
have
not.
If
it.
you're working
I
just to
don't think.
work, like
I don't
if
think
I
women are
come to
built.
you and say I want to buy a house, and you tell me that's too big of a goal, that's a
But he
problem
working at
because that's
Walmart.
basic.
At
That's
Walmart,
basic as
what
fuck.
house he
That's not
buying?
me. I'm not asking you to move a mountain. It's
yo,
super
they
basic.
rare. They
So you
He
can
rare,
work
work
at
but
as
there's
long
no
as
Walmart.
you're
such
What house
building
thing.
is he
towards
buying?
something.
Hey,
Mhm.
there's a such thing. They rare, but
It's
there
too
is a
far in
such thing.
between. It is. So
But you
like,
know what? Hey, yo,
what I'm
Fred. Hey, yo,
thinking is
Fred.
like, if we're gonna talk about like I don't want to. I hate talking about what ifs. You know what I mean? Because
Right,
the
Right,
world don't move off what ifs. But if we could
right.
talk
right,
about, let's be realistic when we make our comments. You know what I mean? So
right.
if someone
That's
says
true. Good point.
aspirations or this and that, come on, man. Aspiration when? Does it have an age cap on that? Is it when you're 21, you say, I'm 25, I'm graduating college, I'm going to become this? Or if I'm at an older age and I'm saying, hey, I want to do this, like, how long are you giving me to do that? Are you giving me forever? You
Time
giving me
frame. That's
as
a
long
good
as
point.
Well, of course,
you
no,
walking with me?
no. But I mean, any
Of course
realistic
not. Women
person is
not
gonna
doing
like.
that
I
shit,
don't
though.
know about you guys, but I set 2 and 5 year goals all day, and I even write the shit down, and I write a list of the steps I need to take. You know what I mean? I
Like,
carry that shit with me. I adjust it when I need to. I real life do that. You know what I mean?
let's put it like
Eh,
this. They say, they like, okay, Kayla just commented. She said, I would as long as I see the work and the ambition. Okay.
yes.
I know a lot of
I'm
people that got some
fucking with
ambition
that.
and shit, and it ain't going nowhere.
I'm fucking with
I.e.,
that.
i.e., wannabe ass rappers that don't have a job and in the studio every
But well,
goddamn
that's
day.
different though.
You know what I
That's
mean?
of
At
course.
what
Come
point?
on, that's different.
At
You
what
can't
point
compare
does she
apples
get
with
fed up?
oranges.
Say,
You
hey,
can't
bro,
compare rappers with people that are
this ain't gonna
working and
happen. You need to
saying,
go
you
get a
know,
job now.
because them
Hey, Ben,
rappers can't even get to a 9 to 5. So
Hey,
why
you know
are
I
Ben,
they
see
even
this all the
involved?
time.
Why are they even
Hey,
included in
hey,
this?
hey, reflection. You know I see this all the time. Hey, niggas don't want to be real, bro. You might want to leave this alone. I'm trying to go get a 9 to 5 now, bro. You've been doing this for 12, 15 years. I know that's your dream, bro, but you got to stop dreaming now because that's all it is, just a dream. It ain't becoming real.
Hey, but you know what though, son? The way I put it is like this: male or female, man, woman, whatever. For every one side, there's another side. For
Yep.
every female that feels that type of way, there's a female that feels the opposite type of way. And the same thing with dudes. For every dude that feels that kind of way, there's always a nigga that feel the opposite way. So I can't really say like that's just what it is. What we say and how we feel is one thing, but in all reality, bro, when you really like in all reality, I can't really lean on one side more than the other because that's just how reality speaks to me, bro. Like not everybody think the same way. You know what I'm saying? Not everybody lives in the same reality. And I'm not, and it's not, and that's not taking no one side. That's not taking niggas, women, whatever the fuck it is. That's just how the fuck it is, man.
But you got to read the signs and watch for the red flags. If you meet as a woman, if you meet a guy and this nigga done told you he done had 10 jobs in the last 6 months, why would you mess with that dude? That's a red flag. But if you meet a guy that's working at Walmart and you ask him how long he's been at Walmart and he say 22 something years, that does show commitment and dedication.
Hey, you're not a manager yet.
It might. I know, but that shows commitment and dedication. Maybe he just needs to be partnered with her to revamp his focus, so that way he can get up out of there. But at least he's committed to that one situation.
Yeah.
Don't you think that commitment will be applied to you in that relationship? He'll be just as committed.
I think so. It's like a peanut butter and jelly. You can't have a peanut butter and jelly without the peanut butter or the jelly. You got to have the.
I think we
people have money and they don't have a business plan. Sometimes people work a 9 to 5. You know what I mean? And they have means and they just don't know the opposite side. So it's literally, there's always a way to make things happen. But again, I get what you guys are saying. We're not going to wait forever. There's got to be like a timeline.
I think a lot of women fail at looking for perfection. You focus on perfection so much that you lose the bigger picture.
This is how I feel.
Let me ask you this.
And again, I'm not dating. I don't date hella people or none of that. But I'm looking around and I'm fucking terrified to date because I'm like, damn, y'all ain't asking for too much. You ain't asking them to move a mountain. Like I'm looking at the options of my friends, and I'm like, this fool can't keep a 9 to 5. This dude's a woman beater. This dude has liability. Like I don't even want to deal with none of that. Like, why can't?
And these guys are hot.
It's so hard to find just a person that takes their ass to work, that wants a simple, basic, like buy a house. Let's do this. Let's open a business.
How old are these guys?
They vary. So this is me looking around.
Let me be more direct, and I'll say this out of love. What's your age bracket?
I'm 40. I just turned 40.
So what's your attractive age bracket to a guy? Is it older or younger?
I haven't dated.
Hypothetically speaking, I'm AI right now. So let's say I'm
assuming within between 40 and 45. Like I'm assuming that's just an assumption. Again, I'm not dating. I haven't done none of that. But I would imagine I prefer somebody who's a little bit older because I don't know why. I just feel like it just makes, I wouldn't want to be with somebody that's younger than me. You know what I mean? For sure. So, but again, I don't have like a specific bracket or a specific, I just want somebody that takes their ass to work, that has some basic ass goals and wants to go somewhere. You know what I mean? That's it. It's super simple.
Right.
But I feel like finding that is like good luck. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't even go there.
So what's your one pet peeve? And I'm gonna say something like, what's your one pet peeve why you keep reiterating why you don't date? What's that one specific reason? What's the elephant in the room that keeps you from just the dating, not the relationship, but just the dating? Let's say you go to Starbucks and you see an attractive guy, he approaches you. What keeps you from dating? What's your motive?
Because I feel like my time is ticking, right? And I feel like I would rather be alone and have peace than be with somebody and be miserable. And
on a date though, not looking for a husband. You're just dating.
Well, I haven't thought about it. I literally haven't.
But it goes back to why though. The why is what I'm asking.
I think because number one, I haven't. It's not like I have dated hella people in my life.
You've hibernated too long.
Second thing, I think because
you've hibernated too long.
That makes me hesitate. The third
you've hibernated too long. You've hibernated too long. If you put your hey, check this. If you put your arm in a sling and it's perfectly fine, and you keep your arm in a sling for like a year, 2 years, and you remove that sling, I guarantee you're gonna still walk out the house like this.
Yeah,
you're gonna still keep it in a sling.
Yeah.
Been single too long.
You've learned that single habit, and now you might know how to get out of it, but obviously you don't want to. Fear is stronger than love. The fear's there.
Yo,
the fear's there. The fear's there. I'm talking dating. Dating is not marriage. Dating is not going back to your place having sex.
My time
dating is not
who's headed to the dead end.
How is a date waste of time?
It's literally no. I'm telling you, like literally. I'm in Reno though, mind you. I don't know where you're at, but I'm in Reno, and this shit's a small little hole in the wall. Okay, and Fred will tell you It's small.
So
And
where's
everybody,
so it
and I
goes
don't,
back. So
I
it
don't
goes
get
back
it
to
because everybody in this town has
right,
been with everybody, and I don't
right.
want that.
So
So
it
that's
goes back
why
to
I'm like,
it
no,
goes
thank you.
back. So it goes back to male feminine ways. A lot of our confidence, a lot of our male confidence comes from the ability to be able to attract and pull, as we say in the streets, bag a female. So if a woman has your mentality, and we know that we the right guy that attempted to approach you and get you on a date,
Mhm.
what does that do for our self-esteem?
No,
It
and
takes
I
it
agree
down
with
a
that.
notch. It
I
takes
agree
it
with
down
that.
a notch because you didn't give us that opportunity just off of a date. Has nothing to do with his financial bracket or none of that.
Yeah.
But just
So
off a
here's
date,
my
you
thing.
decline.
But here's the
For
thing,
what?
and I mean this very literally. So it's one thing if you approach me and you're talking to me, that's one thing. That's not how it's done. You'll be in line somewhere and they'll be whistling at you and they'll say some stupid, like if they're kids. That's really what it is. And I'm
So
like,
thank you
that's
for
just so
answering that.
vicious.
So that's why.
Yeah, it's just like,
So I
dude,
was
grow
trying to
up.
find out. I wanted you to be Pacific. I know you
Yeah.
wanted to shy away from it. You just
Well,
haven't
here
met
it
the
is. That's what it is. And I'm like, I just want to punch somebody in the throat because I'm like, that is not, come on, like, what the hell do I look like? That's really why.
Yo,
So I feel like if you can't approach me like an adult, like, and have a conversation, that they
yo,
don't
can I
do
ask
it
a
like that.
question?
They do some shit like they're teens and it's just disrespectful.
Hey, can I ask a question? Bro?
Yeah.
Can I ask a question right fast? Okay, so is role reversal ruining relationships today? What do y'all feel about that shit? And I mean, like, regardless of what we talked about earlier, is like answer the actual question.
I'm going to
Because
answer you.
hold on, before you answer it, let me let me put the extra mustard on there. Son said, yo, niggas be acting too feminine and women be acting too masculine. So to answer the question, like the question at hand, as far as today's topic at hand on podcast, I really want to know how y'all feel about that shit.
their priorities is off. Their priorities.
I think there's a
Focus.
lack of
Ask a
respect.
man. Wait, let me finish. Ask a man respectfully. Ask a man about his priorities. Right. Ask a man to write down his top 5 priorities, or top 10 even.
Mhm.
And I guarantee you, off of that list, you'll be able to establish if that man has feminine ways or not. Where's his priorities?
That's a good way. That's
Yeah.
a good way to put it.
No, I agree with that. But I think that women, we have to take responsibility because of our behavior. You know what I mean? Like I understand all of us have a story to tell. You have a story to tell. You have a story to tell. Every single one of us have a story to tell. And it's
Right.
fine to go through that experience, but you can't live like be stuck in your past. You got to take those traumas. And again, we have a responsibility to
You got
ourselves
to take
to
those
build a
traumas
happy life out of it.
and
So
you got to take those
and
traumas and
again, life, time is not going to stand still for anybody. It's going to keep going, right? So that's the thing is you got to grow through what you go through, and I think that women tend to hold on to that stuff, and that's why they are
right.
disrespectful
That
to
is true.
dudes. You know, they don't even if a dude like works and does like what he should be doing, in their mind, the way they come across is like that's not enough. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck do you want me to do? Move a mountain for you? You know what I mean? But then when they're away from the home because they're working too much, then they want to bitch and moan that you're never home. You know what I mean? So again, that's why you got to have balance. You can't have your cake and eat it too. So I think yes, women, we got to take 50% of the responsibility because of our behavior. You know, the way we are. We don't let our
As a
man
man,
lead. We gotta sometimes we gotta fall back and let the dude take control, and we gotta just be supportive, and that's just what it is.
Let me say this. Let me say this right fast, man. I don't think it's a matter of like relinquishing leadership or nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? Like letting a man play the head instead of the tail. That's one thing. But when you say role reversal, that's a whole different can of worms. You know what I'm saying? That's a different kind of worms and shit like that. Because it's like when I learned the topic of tonight's discussion, and the niggas saying like, are men acting too feminine and are women acting too masculine? It has nothing to do with letting a nigga take. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't tell a man, like you can't let a man be a man. He gonna be a man or he not. You know what I'm saying?
Why are
He's
niggas
not,
hitting
he
females
gonna be a
the
man
way
or
they
he's
are?
not gonna be a man.
Well,
What-
hold
what-
on though. I think that
That's feminine.
fluctuates. I think
Hold on,
because if you
what'd you
ask
say,
me what a
fam?
man is, I'm gonna say
What'd you
he's
say,
somebody
fam?
that is a provider, somebody that
Why
keeps me safe,
to
somebody
the
that I can rely on.
to
Like
to
there's
the panel?
a list, and if you ask what a woman is, you're gonna have your list too, right?
To-
So,
to-
No, I'm
to-
not. I'm not asking any of that shit. I was just saying, like,
mhm,
just straight the
yeah.
question, the
part,
question.
part of feminine, part of men having feminine ways is why my era. I didn't grow up in the era of seeing a guy hit a woman.
Right.
We didn't
Okay.
hit women. Nowadays,
Right.
I'm seeing these young cats swinging on these females
Bruh.
like a motherfucker. I
Bruh.
could never fathom that. Those are feminine ways. Why is that though? And why is it being allowed?
I don't know. You know what? I do know. Let me say this, bro.
Hey, what you say? I didn't mean to cut you off, Larry. But remember
Yeah,
when
yeah.
Larry said there's always a opposite side of everything? When you say you see these men swinging like that on women in feminine ways, you also on the opposite side, you got women pretending to be men,
Yeah.
trying to fight a dude like she a man too.
Oh,
And those are masculine ways.
That is
oh,
correct. But you know what I've done when I've
right.
had an altercation with a female like that? I just put her on the ground like a cop
You
would.
put it on the ground.
I put her on the ground. I put her in a submissive position until she's done. I've never swung and hit her. I've grabbed her.
Some
This whole
still, but
this right here is crazy
some
because
still
it
might
should
get in their
never get
feelings
to
and say
that.
you put
Like
your
I
hands
don't
on her
understand
still.
any of how
Just because
this
you did that,
being
and all you did was
but
just
but
try
but but there is a but there is another way around some dealing with her physically without hitting her. I know you can, I know a lot of guys act off of impulse, and maybe that chick has done him dirty for years, and now he just spazzing out now. But the
Right.
way I was raised, I never even that thought never even registered my mind to hit a woman ever. And then my dad always taught me when I started dating a girl, make sure I was already established and able to take care of her. So a lot of people are dating outside their bracket. When I ride my bike into town, I knew I was going to see this girl. I didn't go see her unless I had the money to go see her.
Well, yeah, but
If a
you
if
gotta
a
look at
girl if a female approached me and she liked me and she set up a date, I would decline that because I knew I didn't have the money in my pocket that right then and there.
well, the thing is this, like when we had parents and our grandparents, and that's the way they lived, and they was telling us that the men provide for the woman, we take care of the woman, we did this and this and that.
Mm-hmm.
Them times are so long gone because
Right,
you
right.
think about cost of living and where we are today, man. It takes two
That is
incomes
true.
now to survive in. And
That's
if you
right.
want to put the pressure on and the responsibility on one person, I mean, goddamn, how much money do you really got to make? You know what I mean? Like I know some guys that's not even in a relationship, got a
Mhm.
job, and they could damn near still be able to afford to take care of themselves as far as your everyday living, the rent, the car, the insurance, the utilities, the food, all of that, and then let alone you feeding another person. So it is
Love
hard. It's not
inspires
that he
you.
ain't got his shit
That's all I'm
together
gonna say.
or
Love
trying, but
inspires
it
and
So you
costs.
What you say?
that's a good point, Ben. That's a good point. So you go back and you reevaluate your connection with this woman and how far you want to go. And if you realize that's the answer that you just said, then
I
you
will say
refrain
this.
from that.
I will say this now, because I don't want to make it seem like it's not doable. I will say this: it is important to as far as the woman that you're dating too, right?
Right.
Because providing for a woman is okay. We got a roof over our head, right? We taking care of the bills. We doing what we're supposed to do, right? We can get around.
Maintaining her
That's
emotional
really
strength.
providing. Now, some people take that out of content, saying providing, including superficial shit in that. Like, we
Right.
don't got the biggest house. I don't have the best car. We don't got the best clothes, designer clothes.
Right.
That's not providing. That's just wants and needs and greedy shit. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
What does my
Now,
friend don't think?
a man could live in an apartment in North Vegas. I take that back. You could live in a goddamn weekly,
Facts.
but you paying all the bills at that weekly though, right? And that
Yeah.
woman live with you. Technically, you still actually are providing for her. You
Facts.
holding that down.
Yep.
That's still providing.
You just
But
figured it
because-
out. You just figured it out.
Because you're not giving her the best of everything, then people are like, oh, you're not really providing for her, this and this and that. No, nigga, you doing what you can
at that level.
to fit the budget that you make.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey,
So we go back to what I said. Pick your level.
hey,
Don't pick outside of your level.
hey, but look, like I said, man, like we were talking about, like what the homie said earlier, with, you know, as far as the role reversals and shit like that, is it ruining relationships today, bro? And I'm not trying to cut nobody off. You know what I'm saying? I shout out to everybody. As far as that shit, as far as like, it's role
Yes,
reversal,
it is ruining relationships.
ruining relationships or whatever the fuck. Like, yeah, there's
Because the
niggas
focus,
out here
because the
wearing
focus
blouses.
is gone.
Hey,
Because
there's
the
niggas
focus
out
is
here
gone.
wearing blouses for real. There's niggas out here getting their toes and nails did for real. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think, yeah, that shit is ruining relationships, my nigga, because there's other niggas that it's just the time that we live in. The times that we live in, niggas is co-signing that shit. Women is co-signing that shit, and niggas is busy
Ain't nothing
listening
wrong
to
with
women.
the dude getting his damn feet
Nah,
moved.
get the
There
fuck
ain't
out of here,
nothing wrong.
man.
Don't
Get out of
nobody
here with
want
that
to lay
shit.
up in the bed with some dude with
Hold
his
on.
crusty ass feet.
Hold
I
on.
don't care. I signed off. I sign off on that. Yes.
No, hold on,
Get
hold
them
on.
dirty ass feet cleaned. Yes.
Yo, but hold on though. Like when niggas is wearing blouses and niggas is getting their nails did, come on, man. Like when we say role reversal, yo, women are supposed to get their toes done. Women
I
supposed
said
to
dead
get their
skin. I
nails
didn't
did.
say getting your toes done. Okay.
No, but I'm specifically referring to the question: is role reversal ruining relationships
Yes,
today?
it is.
That's what I'm saying. Like when that's the question, and when answering that
Because
question,
women,
fuck that.
a lot of women has
Fuck
made
that.
the focus about finances.
Yeah.
A lot of women has made the focus about finances, and that's what's ruining. Who said finances is the monster
Because
of
women are gold
relationship?
diggers. That's why. A lot of them.
No, these
Say
are
what?
common women. These are
Say
A
what?
common
lot
women
of
that are
women
being
are
educated.
ignorant, like look for dudes with a lot of money.
I
Not getting
guarantee if
my
you didn't,
echo.
I guarantee you, if Brad Pitt approached you without his fame and you was attracted to his looks, but he told you his occupation, you would deny him or second guess it. I guarantee you. And the only thing he would get out of that is sex because he looks so attractive. But you
I
would not be
literally,
attracted to his occupation.
see, but
So
that's
so
not true because I would not do that.
so that's
Even if he
role
was
reversals
famous, if he
because you're
wasn't, I could
focused on.
give two shits. I have so much going on, I don't even got time for that. But I get what you're saying because it's a problem, and that is how women operate. And that's where they get the shit mixed up, and that's why they end up in the positions they're in right now.
But
The
I think
competition is money. The woman approaches with the ideal of the desire of the purse. She wants
so
the
look,
highest purse. She wants the nigga with the highest bag. So
I don't
she's
agree with that.
overlooking everything else.
hey,
Everything else, not you per se, but she's overlooking everything else. So
No,
now it's a competition.
I think
so
So
that
there's
we
a
only attract to people for two reasons. Either A, because they mirror who we are, or B, we attract to them based off what we lack. There's only two fucking reasons. That's literally why people are
hold
attracted to
on,
people. There's only
hold
two
on.
reasons. Either they mirror you or they have what you lack. Period.
Hey, but let me just cut you off real quick, ma. When and the reason why I'm like I keep revisiting the topic is because when Son first posted it, hey Fred, shout out, and I know you feel me, bro. When he posted it, it was like the role reversal in the purest form, in the purest sense of you know what I'm saying, or the phrase. Niggas is acting feminine and are women acting too masculine. Like
I
let's
thought of
visit, let's
leadership.
hold on.
I thought of leadership.
Let's visit the actual question that was asked. I definitely like I agree with what both of y'all said. Like I can agree and disagree with some of what everybody's saying, but to answer the actual matter at hand, my nigga, yes and yes, my nigga. Niggas be wearing blouses, getting nails did, and women be acting more masculine than niggas be acting. So let's talk
because
about that.
because men have allowed themselves to be removed from their role.
Whew. Whoa.
Mm.
Whoa, that's strong.
Say it
Nigga, that's
again.
powerful.
man has
Oh,
allowed
That's
themselves to be
powerful.
removed from
That's
their
not
role.
the case for
I've
everybody, but
never
I
That's
been
think that
removed
powerful.
from my role.
50% of them
What
have
what
allowed it, and the other 50% have
I understood
forced their
I
That's
I
powerful.
understood the assignment on my
That's
first
powerful,
date.
mm.
son.
I knew my role. I've
That's
been married
powerful.
before. I understood the assignment. And
Okay.
our breakup was not financial.
Okay.
I never lost my leadership. I never lost my leadership in the home, and I didn't lose it outside the home because how my family moved is
Yeah.
was how I moved.
Yeah.
So
do you
next time
guys
I
think
talk
that
about next time I come on this panel, you guys will be able to see me next time. I promise.
Oh, we see
do
you.
you guys
You
think
right next
that
to the Tesla charging your you charging your 100K car. So we see you.
I'm watching out for the vandals. They want to
Hey,
vandalize.
hey, we see you, my G. We see you, my G.
Peace to the people. Peace to the people.
Hey, hey,
Yo, real shit though, man. I say it like this, man. And I've said this before on a different panel, bro. Times change and people change. And in the era that we live in, the times that we live in is just more acceptable than what it was at one point. I come from an era where, nigga, if you get your nails did, no, nigga, that's off limits. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a no go.
But you're focusing. You keep focusing on male maintenance.
No,
What I picked up from Freddie
but it's the same
Benz,
thing with
he was
female.
talking about. What I picked up from Freddie Benz, my assumption, he was talking about the man's leadership when dating a woman, developing a fiance relationship with a woman, and being in a marriage with a woman, and then maintaining his household. That's what I understood Freddie Benz was posting.
But the question
Why,
was,
how have we failed from those
I
three
think it's
things?
all of those
well, hold
things. I
on.
think
The
it's all of
question
those
was,
packaged into basically what it
Feminine
boils down
ways.
to.
I
but
feel
but
like when a
but,
man
but
I feel like when a man fails his partner and she now is the sole breadwinner in the leadership and has to take care of everything more than him, that's feminine.
What's
listen,
your
that
guys'
you
each of you
can't think
guys,
like
what's
that,
your
bro.
role as a man in your mind? What's your understanding of what?
Make sure the overall household is maintained and taken care of. That's not just financially. Make sure these kids are being raised right, that they know the do's and don'ts. Make sure when I apply a time frame on bedtime, make sure that and I'm not saying in a militaristic house, but I'm saying make sure that these rules are being followed. That's my assumption of a man's role. And my wife or my spouse or my fiance or my girl should adhere to that and follow me with respect. But I have to win in these areas. But I can't win if I'm being opposed by her. I can't
Look,
win if
so let me
if
ask
she's
you.
backdooring my leadership.
So let me ask you, OG. What is when the question is role reversal ruining relationships? What is your definition of role reversal then?
That
Because
means I've lost. That means I failed. That means I failed her and I
mm,
failed the kids.
mm,
So now she's doing more to provide and maintain our lifestyle than I am. And I'm not talking about luxurious lifestyle. I'm talking about responsibilities. She's more
yo
responsible than
look,
I am now.
look.
Do
Let me
you
tell
feel
you
like you
something,
have an
son.
emotional responsibility as well?
Yes, most definitely. I feel emotional is greater than sexual.
Facts, facts.
I've always
I
dominated a
can agree
woman
with you
mentally,
on that,
and
son. I
that
can definitely
sounds
agree with you on
corny,
that.
but I have. I've always stimulated females mentally,
Mm,
so everything else was easy from there.
I
The
like how
sexual,
you think.
okay. See, facts.
the
Hey,
pleasing was
Freddie
good.
Ben. Freddie
The
Ben,
pleasing was
where you
easy
at,
from
man?
there. Everything, everything else was easy from there. But I
Yeah.
made sure I maintained that. So
Yeah.
if I established that stimulation and I got her mentally, I didn't succumb
Yeah.
and fall under that. I made sure I kept it there or took it up a notch. Because if I went under that, then everything else is bullshit.
I agree with you on that shit, bro.
Freddie, we
I
want
agree
to
with
hear
you
your
on
input.
that.
hey.
But hey, Freddie Benz, we want to know
No, I'm key.
what the fuck are
My,
you thinking, my nigga? What's up? Where you at? Talk to the people, bro.
I'm over here reading these comments with Callio here. Boy, Callio here, she been going crazy in the comments. I posted this question on here. Because when we were talking about the finance part of it, she over here talking about why women always gotta settle for the broke dudes. The same way these niggas settle for these broke ass
Facts.
pretty women. You know what I'm saying? That bring nothing to the table but being pretty.
Bro. And half of these women don't even be pretty. You hear me?
And if they stay
Hey,
committed,
half
if
of
they
these
stay
women,
committed, we would
yo,
accept the pretty.
yo, hold on. Hey, yo,
Stay
hold on,
committed.
fam. Hold on, fam. The real shit is this. For to get on that, bro, a lot of y'all women, these niggas be simping and they put you on a fucking pedestal and they be
Like a
making y'all think y'all fucking
motherfucker.
pretty and you not fucking pretty. Fuck out of
Them,
here, man.
them
Y'all not
DMs,
pretty. Half of y'all are
them
not
DMs,
pretty, man. Fuck
them
out of here with
DMs have
that shit, bro.
gaslighted.
Don't ask no questions like that, man. Like, stop asking questions like that because half of y'all not pretty anyway. Y'all get put on a pedestal by these simp ass niggas and y'all think y'all pretty. That's why I don't be shopping at Walmart because it be you bitches I be trying to fucking be avoiding. Facts. Fuck
And
out
they
here
shop
with
at
that shit, man.
579.
Like, no, man. We not doing that, man. We not doing that. That's a Snapple fact. Look under your cap, my nigga. It's right up under there. Fuck out of here, man. Like, yo,
You know what?
everybody.
You know what's crazy?
What's
When I
crazy?
can drive past two homeless people, and they holding each other down, male and female, and ain't got shit,
Dope.
ain't got shit, and they holding each
Dope.
other down. How the
Dope.
fuck we out here with from
Dope.
finances and the establishment,
Because them
and we
homeless
hate
niggas
each other?
don't be simping.
That's
Homeless niggas don't be
crazy.
simping, and they be swearing to God these chicks that be having their stomach out when they be walking around Walmart or wherever the fuck they be walking out, and they be putting these bitches on the fucking pedestal. They be thinking they be having these women thinking they more than what the fuck they really is. So they ask the kind of questions that they
Hey, I
do
think
in the fucking comment sections of the motherfucking podcast. And I'll be the first nigga to say it.
I
I'll be
think
the first
everybody
nigga to
needs.
say it. I don't care.
I think everybody needs love. I think we should
Hey,
love
Larry's going
everybody.
in today.
What?
Kelly
I
done got it started. Kelly done got it
But-
started.
Nah,
I think
man.
if we don't, I think
because
if we don't,
bro,
if we don't
go
figure
through this
it
shit
out
all the time, bro.
amongst male and female, if we don't figure it out, things ain't getting no better financially. Things ain't getting no better domestically. If
So
we don't
let
figure
me
it out.
ask you guys this: what's your ideal in your mind? What do you consider a woman?
Somebody that
Somebody that merit, like somebody that you would want to, like you could marry, type of shit, not just a stray.
somebody that I could marry, somebody that believes in me, somebody that trusts me, and then that trust and that belief should increase as I continue to show it.
That loyalty.
And if I stumble along the way, she supports me, not in that stumble, but she supports me in the strength to get back up. And then she applies a time frame, because if it begins to come a pattern,
Yeah.
then I'm bullshit. I'm full of shit.
Yeah.
So every year, every 2 years should be elevated. And if we're not moving forward, then she should reevaluate. But she should also suffer some of that if there's kids involved.
Yeah.
Yo.
So strategize it, work out a plan. But that's my assessment of a woman and the woman I want to marry.
Gotcha.
Boy, you been dropping jewels
Everybody
tonight.
got
I ain't
their
gonna
own
lie.
definition
Hey,
of
I
this
like his
shit, man.
thinking. I feel like
I started out focusing on food stamps, and I think that threw the first presentation off. But I think if people go back and listen to it, they'll understand it.
You really just said that, my nigga.
Yeah, I was using that as I was paraphrasing. I was pretty much saying, once women got help from another source, they no longer depended on us the way they used to. Once they got help from another source. And that was one of the first sources. It was finances, because this whole topic's pretty much been finances. So once they got help financially from another source, that removed the strength that we had.
You think that really plays a big factor, though?
A major. If you look at the ghetto, if you look at,
being depended on,
I'm not saying
I don't believe.
I'm not saying
like it's crazy.
If you drive past the gas stations, if you drive past a lot of these food branches, they're now saying accepting EBT. They didn't used to say that shit.
Yeah.
So it does go back to what I stated earlier.
Fact.
If you drive past a lot of these places of business that said fuck that EBT, if you ain't got such and such, you can't buy shit here. Now look what they have to succumb to.
No, but
So
what
that
I'm
does
asking
play
is,
an
do you
impactful
guys
role.
do men like when women rely on them or depend on them?
Oh, I love when a woman depends on me. I love that shit.
Of course.
Yo, you
I
know
love
what though? I'm like this, man. I don't give a fuck if whether it's a man or woman, bro. Like, and I'm saying that I'm saying that shit with no rainbow. You heard? I'm saying that shit with no rainbow. Straight up. Let me make that abundantly clear. No rainbow, my nigga. It doesn't matter. I try not to
If you
give
say it a third
people,
time, I'm gonna question you.
hey, I try not to give people no room to say nothing to me anyway. You see what I'm saying? No matter what it is, man. Like, I try not to give people no room to say shit to me anyway, bro. Like, it doesn't matter whether you rely, because sometimes it's me that has to rely on somebody. And that's just real shit. That's how real life goes. And I understand that. You know what I'm saying? But again, these role reversals and shit like that, bro. Like, some women, I don't know, man. Like, some people just get beside themselves and they feel like that shit don't apply to them, and that's not what the motherfucking case is. That's how I feel about that.
You know how I'm gonna say. You know how I removed myself from a relationship that wasn't kosher for me.
Okay.
I acted as if I was leaving a job. How do I want to be remembered if my next employer calls that employer and say, "How was John?"
Okay.
Well, the girl always gonna say something bad,
I think
especially if
like
your
that
next
with
girl look
everything
better
in
I
than
know,
her.
life.
but I know,
Like,
but
how do
I
I
know,
want to be
but
remembered by?
a lie is gonna always sound like a lie. It's gonna always be a lie. You can't fake the truth because the truth has a certain DNA. So even if that bitch do say that, put dirt on my name, the listener is gonna be able, she'll be able to tell, unless that's her
Hopefully.
hunger. I never went to the airport and they asked me, do I have any guns or anything in the bag? I've never been stopped by a cop and he said, is there a gun in the car? And I said no, and I know goddamn well there's a gun in the car. How do you say that honestly?
Right.
Do you have any weak? So the truth is going to always stand out greater than a lie. So if somebody call, that's how I've always left my relationships.
Hold up. If a
What do
cop
I want to
asks
leave
me if I
behind?
have a gun, I'm gonna
Well,
say no. Period. But I get
Yo,
what you're saying. I'm always gonna be
but
like,
what
nah.
do I leave behind? Every relationship that didn't work out for me, I always left it in good standings. If you contact all of my exes, they want me back. If you contact, they'll say, and if they don't want me back, can get me back because they are in another relationship. But all of them will say good, nothing but good.
I got you. No, I was
right.
just making a joke.
Yeah, I understand. And I had
Hey,
a
but
blurb.
look,
They'll all say nothing but good. Yeah. So
hey, but
that's how
look,
I've always exited my relationships. I've always said, how do I leave this in good standing?
yeah,
Even though there's a bit of
yeah,
breakup, how do I leave in good standings?
yeah, that's true shit. But yo, look, like real shit though, like getting back to the topic at hand, my nigga, like my peoples, I'ma say, like what as far as like the role reversal and all that shit, bro. I think like this, bro. Like as time changed, and I hate to sound cliche, okay? I hate to sound cliche, but as time changed, people change. I've said this before. We live in a time where certain things are just more acceptable now than what it was before. So I come from an era where if you got your nails did, your toes did, your nails polished, that shit was unacceptable. But it's more acceptable now, and that's what it is. So
But
as
we're talking
far as
about the
role
majority of
reversals,
men. The majority of niggas I know is not doing that.
but this is what I'm saying though. We're not talking about just like you and niggas that you know. We just talking about overall. Because trust me, nigga, I couldn't even, my shorty couldn't even in the privacy of our own home paint my nails. It ain't happening.
Okay,
You know what I'm saying?
let me ask the
It's not
young
gonna
lady a
happen.
question. Let me ask, as far as getting back to the man losing his leadership and then feminine ways. Let me ask the young lady, do you feel like as a man, I can take my daughter to go bra shopping and hygiene shopping better than you?
No,
Why is that?
That's a good
because
question.
that's because
Why
you don't
can't I
have
take her to the
friends. You
bra
don't have
aisle?
boobs. You don't have
So,
breasts. You
so
wouldn't be able to understand the
but
dynamic.
I haven't studied her. I haven't studied my parentship enough to say, well, mommy is not here, or maybe we're separated. This is my
Yeah.
weekend with you. Well, Dad, I need this and I need that. Why is it that I can't take her to Walmart?
I mean, you could, but ideally, that's
But
why
do you
we have
think I could
roles,
do
and
it?
that's why we have the two
So,
sides.
so basically, you're saying I can't do it as good as you, right?
Yeah, for
So,
sure.
what makes you think you can raise a son better than me?
Oh, I know we can't. I know that we can't raise sons better than men can. That's what I was like I told you guys on the last episode. There's stuff you guys can teach that we cannot teach, even if we
So,
try to do
so,
it.
so as women, I'm not talking to you per se, but as women, you have to start meeting and approaching, accepting men, understanding the fact that there's
I
things that
just,
we're going to bring to the table that you
mhm.
can't do, that we can do.
I accept that. Yeah.
So that should be part of your understanding and attachment to us to
Mhm.
keep us in that leadership role.
Correct. Nope, I understand that, and that's why for me it's like I understand the way you guys think and the way you guys make choices is based off logic, based off intellect, facts, right? For us,
Yes.
we're more emotional, so like just
And
learning
that's
how to
where the feminine
communicate,
ways, and
knowing
that's
that
where the
as a
feminine
feminine,
ways,
I'm gonna react with emotions, and maybe I should
right.
shut up and not speak till those emotions
That's
kind of
where
go.
that's where the feminine ways in men are coming from.
What do you mean?
Those same men were sons being raised by the mom.
Not
Where's the
all
father?
moms.
So, you think
Why
Not
isn't
so,
all
the
Sam?
moms.
father there? And you can't raise a child properly separated. You
That
have to
goes back to the
strategize
same
and
thing
figure out the way.
about people with mommy problems, because you can have a lot of these homes have the dad and the mom, but the mom enables them, and oh my god, let me helicopter parent over my kid and shelter them,
Yo,
and that's why we have this problem in that household. They don't respect the masculine energy because they always want to cater and coddle their child, and that's why a lot of these houses have the dad there. You know what I mean? But the mom, again, with that helicopter parenting, parenting matters. Our technique matters. All of that stuff. You got to let your kids, make, you got to let them make poor choices so they can learn. You know what I
Well,
mean? But
I can tell you.
a lot of moms, and I'm going to say I'm going to say 70% of moms, and I mean this literally, 70% of moms, they won't do that. I'm not going
Well,
to throw no names.
I can tell you of a truth, and I'm a people's person.
Yeah.
Most of the gentlemen I meet out here as I move around, I can tell they was not raised by their father. I can
And
tell
a
the
lot of
way they
their
talk,
dads are in
the
and
way
out. You know what I
the
mean?
way they tell me they're going to handle certain situations, and I'm talking about even situations in the street. There's a ripple effect that comes back to the way he's going to handle that in the street. That did not come from a father, a good father, established father. I've always been educated and taught: think wisely, don't act off impulse. These niggas acting off an impulse like that, that's feminine ways. They're grabbing that gun like that. That's feminine ways. Instead of assessing the situation, saying, where's this going to lead to? Is this going to come back to my front door? I'm living with my mom. My mom lives here and my kid lives here.
Which is weird because,
If you look at
again,
the
men think
industry,
with logic. They think off facts. So obviously, for me, the way you're describing that, it's like, how do you
they're
not
not being
question
raised
that?
to think. You said men. They're not being
Yeah,
these men.
males, just
They are
the
not being.
masculine energy, just males in general. You guys, the way you make choices is based off facts, like logic. For us, it's emotional. So that's
Right,
why I'm
right.
like, okay, even though you were raised
sounds
by your
about right.
mom, like, how does that logic not kick in and you
Sounds
don't
about right.
question it? You know what I
And
mean?
there's just a lot of smart women out here, but certain things are fixed the way and adjusted the way they're supposed to be. And the proper adjustment of a son being raised is the father, because there's a certain discipline that has to be applied that the mother's love is not willing to do. There's a
Yep.
certain
We
discipline that
can't
has to
even
be
when we
applied
try. Yep.
that the mother is not willing to do. The discipline that we apply to that son or that daughter, you're not willing to do
I'm
because
willing to do it.
you're just coming with the hugs, 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 and yet you
Yeah.
can do this
But I get
when
what you're
your
saying.
dad leaves.
Yeah.
There's a certain level that a man is required to establish in a home,
Tough
and it
love,
takes a lot of
right?
dedication to do that. But the only way for him to do that is if he's fixed within himself. If he's
Yeah.
fucked up internally, how can he disperse that? He
Yeah.
can't. How
Yeah.
can
I
you be
agree.
a leader publicly, but internally you're not?
Yeah.
Mostly,
Yep.
most of your main big time male leaders.
Wait, I can't hear you.
Yeah, you cut off, fam.
I can't hear you.
Hey,
Okay, hold on. Can you,
you
Sorry, we
cutting
didn't
in and
catch
out,
like the
fam.
last couple minutes.
okay, can you hear me
Cutting in
now?
and out, fam. Yeah.
Okay, most of your high-end male leaders have succumbed to failure internally, not externally.
Mm.
If you look at what Malcolm X, his failure, he succumbed to, it was his former leader. So his former leader is teaching him and he's stabbing him as a man to respect women and do all this. But look what he's doing behind the scenes. That hurt Malcolm X the most, and that's why they became disconnected.
No, I
So
think I
usually
think I do. I think I agree with that because now I'm thinking about it. Like, so I'll use my
the
family.
failure of a man comes internal. It's inside the home.
Mhm.
It's inside the home. I'm not saying everything a man does outside the home is because of the home, but 90% of it is internally. 90% of it is internally.
Well, I think
It
women
might
just
be.
a lot of, like you said, a lot of women don't have the ability to show that tough love because when I have to do that with my kids because it's like it's uncomfortable to do it. I don't want to have to be like let me give you an example. If they make a mistake, I'm not going to save you from the lesson that comes with that. You know what I mean? And that's uncomfortable for me, but I'll do that because I love you more and I know that the lesson that you're going to take from this is more meaningful. You know what I mean?
Right.
But a lot of I think I agree. Like a lot of women are not capable of showing that tough love because their emotions are they let the emotional side take over.
But it goes back to you guys, the role thing. It
Yeah,
goes back to making sure that you're in sync with how it should be synchronized in the home. Make sure you're supporting the father or even the baby daddy. Make sure you're supporting him if his leadership is right, because the kids are watching both of us.
yeah,
But we have to be unified in that leadership. So it's not saying that you take a lesser role than we do pacifically, but we got to make sure we put up a good camouflage for the kids to see, and then we handle our differences behind the scenes. It's like having an argument at a restaurant. I don't want to argue with this bitch publicly at the restaurant. I got too much pride. I got an establishment out here. I'm not doing this here. Let's wait till we get back to the apartment, the house, or get in the car at least. But don't have us looking stupid publicly here at this restaurant.
Mhm.
So that's how I've always navigated myself.
yeah,
And if I can win doing that, if I can get her out of the restaurant and back to the house, then I've won my leadership.
yeah.
But it's not a competition. It's just the way the understanding should be. My understanding every time I met a woman, I should be winning.
But if you're not winning, then you're not winning.
If you're not winning, then you need to go back and reevaluate why you're not winning.
Then you definitely need to hit that reset button, my nigga.
Or you need to go back to the totem pole. you need to go lower the totem pole.
That reset button, fam. Real
Because
shit.
there's losers that will hang with losers. So
that part is true too. But hey,
there is losers that will accept the fact that they can only hang with other losers.
Yeah, that's fact. That's fact. They say we like to say losers follow where the winners go. That's what we like to say. But losers definitely enjoy hanging around other losers too. On top,
and that's what you know what that's called, going with the flow.
Fact.
The majority of everybody's relationship is failing because they're going with the flow of other failed relationships. What strength do they have to go back home and say, I'm gonna fix this, or I'm a partner with my partner to fix this? It's a lot easier to say, you know what? Everybody else says fuck relationships. I'm gonna say the same thing.
Well, sometimes it's so far off you can't really fix. There's shit you can't force people to change.
How did it get that far? How did that wound get that bad though? That now a Band-Aid can't even fix it.
Yeah. I mean,
now you got to go to the ER. Now you're a lot of people.
I think that sometimes
no, it's the honesty. It's the honesty. People are not honest with each other in their relationships. So now you got to go to the You wait till it's time to go to the ER to get saved. The salvage your shit, you got to go to the ER. Because you weren't honest from the get-go. The first time I'm offended, I check it. The first time someone's out of pocket, I check it.
Yeah, no, I
real
agree
quick.
with that. That's why I told Fred it's like we set the foundation for our relationship. You know what I mean? Like whatever is meaningful, like you got to say this is what I'm not going to do, and then you got to just
Yes.
stand on that.
If something offends you and we're in a relationship, you need to call that out. Right then and respectfully, and also there's a time frame with that, but you need to call it out. Make sure the timing's right and how you articulate it, but you call it out and you deal with it. That's how I did in a lot of mines.
Yeah.
I dealt with it right when it
No,
happened.
that's how I am. That's how I am.
Hey, so
Yeah.
look, like what's good with the role reversals? How you feeling about this shit, Freddie Benz? With the role reversals and you know what I'm saying, like the way times have changed and the era that we living in, you know, women be taking over the man roles and dudes be taking over the women's role by wearing blouses and you know what I'm saying, getting their toes did and nails did and all that shit. How you feel about it, fam? I want to know what the fuck is on your mind. You've been the most
But
all night.
my whole thing with the guys acting more feminine, mine be more on when I see roles, like when I see roles, like when I go to people's house and I see certain women
Controlling
dominating
the
the
house.
household, dominating it.
Right.
He runs,
Like a
jump,
motherfucker.
skip to everything she say. Like I'd be like, bro, that
Arguing in front of company.
right now. Like bro,
Arguing in front of company.
you have no backbone. You don't put your
That
foot
don't even
down. Like
sound
who
right
are
to
you
me.
in
Just
here?
you saying that. Like I would never. I don't want my house to operate like that. You know what I mean?
Like god damn.
Because it don't even
I'm sure
sound
tell
right.
you to
She's
shut up. You'll
giving me an
be quiet.
example.
You just sit
That
there.
just sounds weird.
She
Or he
I don't know, man.
or he tell the kids to do something and then the mother doesn't support that and deal with it later when company leaves.
No.
She'll go against him and say, it's okay, they can sit right there, or they can do that right there. No.
Look. She said we supposed to run it. Man, come
I
on.
think that this is how the house should operate. I think that the man should lead. The man is manning the ship. So I'm not going to bark.
Only
orders.
with his achievements,
There's
though.
a way to communicate.
Only with
you
his
know,
achievements.
if I need something done, I'm like, hey, can you please help? You know what I mean? I'm not going to sit there and be like, let's pretend Fred's my husband. Yo, Fred, don't do that. I would never do that. Because that don't even sound right. And it sure is fucking going to look right. But there's a way,
But then
you know what I mean? And
but
there's a time and a place for everything.
I know, but
I don't think anybody should be barking orders at anybody like that.
as a
you know what I
woman,
mean?
protect your desires. I have to earn my leadership. It's
Yeah.
not given. So it's not just because
Do
I'm
you even respect
so it's not
as a woman, even if that's your husband, right? And you run your household like that.
No.
At the end of the day, do you truly respect your man?
No.
If that's how you get at him?
No.
Or you just really kind of treat him like a little servant? Because he actually coming across as a bitch, if you want to keep it 100.
Yeah. I just feel like
Do
we should
you
treat
really
people how
respect
we
him?
want to be treated. You know?
You really probably out there, I'll keep it 100. You probably one of the women that be out there searching for the next man that do put his foot down.
Yeah.
Because you ain't never seen such a thing because the man in your house act like a bitch.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
You know what I'm saying?
yeah. I don't know. I've never seen that though. I've never been in any house where it's like the girls barking orders and you know what I mean?
Man, I've seen it a few times.
Like I've never seen that.
That's what you're seeing in the news when you get seeing all these killings and these fightings and things like that. That's where that's coming from. I gotta give the young lady her my apologies. What is your name again?
Steph?
Steph?
Yeah.
Thanks for holding it down on this panel with niggas, yo.
Oh,
With
no worries.
the male testosterone. Thanks for holding it down, man. Definitely
no
holding
worries.
it down.
Steph always hold it down, man.
This is my first time. This is my first time meeting her, so thank you. Much love, much respect.
Oh, thank you.
We gonna run.
Anything I ever say on this is never personal. Anything I ever say on this is never personal. But if somebody come to me with the art of dialogue, I'm gonna speak my truth.
Yeah, for sure. No, we appreciate that because most people won't do that. If you know us, we say it. We say whatever's on our mind. So
Much love.
Yeah, we gonna run it back again, man. We gonna go ahead and end it for the night, man. We've been at it for about an hour and a half.
Yeah, I've been sitting in my
I do
car. I've been
appreciate
sitting in my
that.
car for a fucking hour and a half, Bams. Don't ever play me,
That's
cuz.
because you in the Tesla.
Don't ever play me,
You in the
cuz.
Tesla. You
Hey,
probably charging
hey,
it. That's
hey,
why.
don't.
Thank you.
Hey, you
If
know,
you had gas, nigga, you would have been gone a long time ago.
hey, I've been sitting in the dark the whole time. The whole fucking time. I look like
That's because
I
your
know
battery
this in the
dead. You
dark,
at the
though.
Tesla recharge plant.
no,
That's
I've
why.
been done charged, but that's the love that I owed you because you've sent me an invite several times, and I said, you know what, man, today is the last day I say no to that, brother. And I'm not saying in past times I could have done it because I couldn't have, and tonight I couldn't have done it. But sometimes you just gotta put an end to the nose.
Yeah, man, I feel you on that.
But shit, appreciate you though,
We
man. We gonna run
appreciate
it
you.
back
You had a
again
lot
and
of
do
good
it.
feedback.
Definitely,
Thank
man.
you.
I appreciate
Yeah,
Oh,
it.
we got a lot
appreciate
of good feedback today, and you dropped a lot of jewels, man.
Yeah.
I seen in the comments a
Yeah,
lot of
man.
people was agreeing with what you were saying. So we gonna have to bring you down.
Oh yeah, that's facts.
Oh, guaranteed. I speak from the heart.
Yep,
That's
yep.
facts, bro.
Legend again, man. You know we appreciate you on here. Steph,
Always, man.
appreciate you always. You always on here supporting it. But yeah,
Mhm.
man. So we gonna go ahead and sign out tonight, man. And we'll be
Hey,
back.
power to the people.
Yep.
Only.
We'll be back sometime this
Only.
week, man. Maybe Friday.
Yeah, for sure.
Don't get me too addicted. Y'all gonna have to kick me the fuck off.
All right, y'all.
All right, fam.